We've all heard the horror stories: rabbits overrunning Australia, Burmese pythons devouring Florida's wildlife, and zebra mussels clogging waterways. When we hear invasive species, we think of destruction, extinction, and chaos. But what if I told you that some invasive species have actually saved ecosystems rather than destroyed them? Sounds crazy, right? Well, let's dive into some of nature's most unexpected success stories. Invasive species are typically known for one thing: devastating ecosystems. When non-native species enter a new environment, they often have no natural predators, allowing them to multiply rapidly. They outcompete native species, alter habitats, and sometimes drive other species to extinction. It's why we see disastrous results time and time again. But what if, in some cases, things worked out differently? What if, under the right conditions, an introduced species could actually help restore an ecosystem? Believe it or not, there are some cases where invasive species unexpectedly played a positive role in their new environment. Let's explore some of the most surprising examples. Picture this: a beautiful island in the Seychelles, once home to large native tortoises that maintained the ecosystem by grazing on dense plant life. But after their extinction, the island's vegetation grew out of control, choking out plant diversity. That's when conservationists had an idea: introduce the Aldabra giant tortoise. These tortoises took over the role of their extinct relatives, restoring balance to the ecosystem. They prevent invasive plants from taking over, encourage the growth of native species, and even help spread seeds. It's a rare example of an introduced species bringing life back to an environment. For decades, the American Southwest has struggled with an invader: the tamarisk tree. Introduced in the 1800s, it spread uncontrollably, guzzling up water in an already arid region and outcompeting native plants like cottonwoods and willows. Nothing seemed to stop its spread until the tamarisk beetle came along. Unlike other failed biological control attempts, this one actually worked. The beetles successfully reduced tamarisk populations, allowing native vegetation to make a comeback and restoring natural water flow. The lesson? Sometimes the best way to fight an invader is with another invader. When Pacific oysters were introduced to Europe's coastal waters, scientists worried they would wipe out native shellfish. But instead, something unexpected happened. The oysters adapted, and in doing so, they created massive reef structures that supported entire ecosystems. These oyster reefs provided new habitats for marine life, improved water quality by filtering pollutants, and even helped protect coastlines from erosion. A surprising twist: sometimes an invader becomes an ecological asset. Does this mean we should start introducing species to fix every ecological problem? Not so fast. Even in these success stories, careful research and monitoring were key. What works in one place could lead to disaster in another. Nature is incredibly complex. A species that benefits one environment could wreak havoc in another. That's why scientists approach species introduction with extreme caution. So, while invasive species are usually villains, every now and then they become unlikely heroes. What do you think? Should we ever intentionally introduce species to fix ecosystems? Or is it too big of a risk? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and comment. What's your opinion on invasive species?